Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. All right, guys. Well, it's done with, over with, done, finished, finito, fin. However, other ways you guys want to say the end, please put them down in the comments. It's done. Bad Batch is finished. And, I'm surprised they got their happy ending. That's not what I was expecting. That's not what like 90% of the fan base was expecting, but I liked it. Overall, a very, very, very strong ending to the show. Very strong episode. And it was literally just the Bad Batch. It was nobody else. But I'll get to that in a second. So, without any further ado, hey Chewie, do me a favor. Punch, punch this thing. Let's get into it, baby. All right, so we open on the Bad Batch getting ever closer to the base. They're very, very close. And Wrecker looks to be in pretty bad shape after fighting the giant monster from last week. As we cut to inside the base, Hemlock orders his troops to guard the vault until the lockdown is raised, as Scorch tells them that that they captured one of the insurgents, that insurgent being Rampart, and he goes to see Rampart. They have a very snippy back and forth where Hemlock tells Rampart uh you shouldn't have joined Rogue Clone unit. It doesn't look good for you. It's not a really good look. As Rampart says that he's a little bit too calm given the circumstances, and that the Empire can probably isn't pleased about this whole thing that's going on with Hemlock, as he knew that the Bad Batch would eventually come for Omega. As Hemlock leaves, we cut to Emery and Echo in the lab. Echo tries to get the location of the vault to see if he can find the location of Omega. Emery tells Echo there's no way you're going to get to it. It's too highly encrypted. You won't be able to find it, but I will. And Echo's surprised that Emery is helping him, as Emery tells her that she's done a lot of bad here, and she wants to make up for it. She's trying to do some good for the first time. As we cut to Omega and the kids making their plan up, and it's a pretty wild one, even by Omega standards. It's pretty crazy. So Omega takes out one of the droids, reprograms it, and subdues the other doctor by injecting her with the droid. As the kids escape, and they head to release the Zillo Beast on the base. We cut back to the batch for a quick second, and Wrecker is still pretty beaten up. Throughout this part of the episode, they really play it up that like Wrecker's probably gonna die in the next 5 minutes. At least that's how I saw it. I thought they were really planning on killing Wrecker, as we as 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 we then cut back to Emery and Echo heading into the vault. Emery tells Echo everything about about the bounty hunters retrieving them for retrieving the force sensitive kids to the Empire that she didn't know about it until she was chief scientist, and she tells Echo that Omega is very vital to Hemlock's operation. And then we cut back to Omega and the kids as they make their way through the tube system to the Zillow. Omega infiltrates the location where the Zillow Beast is. As the little baby, I can't remember the baby's name. Starts crying and creates a distraction as the Zillow Beast is released. It kills the guards, the scientists, as it makes its way up the base, destroying everything in its path. Which, hey, again, it would be a Bad Batch episode without a giant monster of the week. Now, would it? So, there's the giant monster of the week. It's a friggin' Zillow. So, um, we then we as all that's going on, Emery and Echo finally make it into the vault as Hemlock's there, and he tells them that the kids got out, and he leaves as is was like, yeah, she released the Zillow because, well, that's something that I would do. So the next thing we see is we get a scene of the Zillow just. I mean, it's destroying everything. It's making its way through the base, breaking everything it's looking at, destroying everything, and essentially making a path for the Bad Batch to get in. Which this part of the episode I just loved seeing a Zillow Beast just take everything out. It was so much fun. And we then cut back to the Bad Batch as they're like at the very base of the mountain, and they're scouting ahead. We see the Bad Batch scouting ahead as Crosshair's tremor really bad here. Like being on Tantus is just it's causing him so much internal havoc. He can't stand it. And it seems to be getting worse the closer they get to the base. As he remarks that they've got hounds and patrols all over the place, and that they're not going to be able to make it to the base. Crosshair tries to be a hero here, tells Hunter and Wrecker to radio for Rex, and he's going in alone, and that this is what he deserves, basically. That everything he's done has led to this point, and he goes on a tangent saying that Clone Force 99 died with Tech, and that they're not that team anymore. And this is one of my favorite parts of the entire episode, probably the entire series, is Hunter and Wrecker essentially tell him to shove it, and saying you're not going in there alone. You're our brother. We're not gonna forsake you again. We're coming with you. And they see the Zillow Beast come out of the hangar, just come straight to the hangar, and they instantly call it. Yep, so Mega's handiwork. As we cut back to the kids again, and one of them, the green skinned kid, I can't remember. I've been calling him Beast Boy, so that's what I'm going to call him, Beast Boy. Um, says he's afraid of heights and doesn't think he can make it up the ladder. And Omega tells him that Wrecker is the strongest, bravest soldier she knows, and he's terrified of heights. As she tells him to just keep looking forward, keep looking up, don't look down. As we then cut to Hemlock, and I mean everything's failing. Everything's gone to pot, and this man's like, I'll be okay. I've got a plan C, D, and E here. It's fine. So he is told that the Zillow's out, and he then goes to activate the rest of the Shadow clones, which I think is, which admittedly I think is pretty cool. Like this whole section is pretty awesome. He essentially has his own like Winter Soldiers. That's what I was getting. I was getting a what if the Winter Soldier and the Knights of Ren had a baby? That's what I was getting. That's kind of what I was getting at when that's what I was feeling when we got to see these Shadow clones show up. They've got their own. They each have got their own fighting style and their own weapons depending on which clone it is. So the kids, so the kids make it to the hangar bay as at as we see Echo and Emery also trying to make their way to the hangar bay. Um, the Bad Batch manage to get into the hangar, and they're ambushed by Shadow clones and Imperials. This part was very cool, and I thought when they got to this part, I was thinking, okay, Wrecker's gonna die here. Someone has to die here. And like I said, they get ambushed by the Shadow clones. The with a bunch of Imperials on their back as well. Um, the batch start retreating, and we get to see the Shadow clones really be fierce here as they beat down the batch pretty handily. I mean, it's not really close in this part of the fight. They're really getting their butts handed to them, and one of them takes out Wrecker. One of them takes out Hunter. Uh, Crosshair, Crosshair gets subdued, and the last thing we see is before we cut back to the kids is Crosshair's about to lose a shooting hand, which is the one that's got the tremors. And right before they cut his hand off, they cut back to the kids. As they made their way up the ladder and continue moving towards the hangar, we then cut to Echo and Emery as they see the Bad Batch and the Shadow clones as the Batch has been taken hostage. As hmm, as the kids finally make it to the hangar, they're almost taken prisoner by two clones, but then Echo, not two clones, two Imperials, and Echo comes up behind them with since he's in the stormtrooper armor, takes these two guys out as they as they get Emery as they go meet Emery. The kids and Emery uh, get on a shuttle and head to Pabo as Echo and Omega go to the prison area to free the clones, the clones, the Bad Batch. They think they're there. Rampart and Nalase. So the Bad Batch is in a reconditioning center trying to get, and as Hemlock's trying to turn them into uh, these uh, the these shadow clones as they're resisting pretty well. Hemlock taunts Hunter about the death of Tech as Hunter threatens that they will survive this conditioning, but Hemlock will die here as he gets the transmission from Tarkin and gets taken away. Omega and Echo make their way to the prisoners to free the rest of the clones and free the batch as, like I said, they think they're there. They free Rampart, the rest of the clones, uh, and 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 Nala say as as the rest of the clones work with Echo and Omega to go for the Bad Batch. Nalase goes to destroy the blood samples in the lab as Rampart is following her un, unknown to Nala say. Rampart is following her. We then cut to Tarkin grilling Hemlock about losing the Zillo Beast and the fact that the base is under attack, and that he says, "Don't worry, I'm on my way to clean things up." As we then cut to Omega and the clones taking out Imperial troopers as she uses the ventilation shaft to get to the training room, and says, and not Nalase picks up a thermal detonator from a downed Imperial as she's making her way to the lab. Rampart grabs the pistol from that same dead Imperial, and Nalase is about to destroy the blood sample with the thermal detonator as Rampart walks in, holds her at gunpoint, and says, "Tell me everything you know about Project Necromancer." Then we cut to the conditioning chamber. Omega sees there's only one shadow clone guarding it. She tells Echo that to give her a distraction as the rest of the clones engage the other shadow clones. And we get one heck of a fight. Echo and the rest of the clones start battling the shadow clones. They're doing a pretty good job. I mean, Echo is really giving it to them. And again, the tension in at this part of the episode is ramped up. I'm thinking, okay, Echo's probably gonna die here. I mean, he's a good fighter, but these are souped up clones, like really souped up clones. I don't think he's getting out of it. So they start fighting. And then we cut back to Nalase and Rampart. Nalase tells him that he's never understood the complexity of cloning as she blows up the blood samples and Rampart. We then cut back to the Bad Batch as Hemlock shows up and starts monologuing and captures Omega, and she says essentially, you're going to lose here. All of your research is destroyed, and she basically says that I've still got them as Wrecker. Now with the batch fully healed, they start taking to the Shadow Clones. Scorch and Hemlock take Omega, still Omega, as we see a two-part battle going on right now. Echo and Wrecker taking out the two remaining Shadow Clones. The one that we know, essentially Hunter fries him with a thumb baton, which I found a little anticlimactic. I was hoping that I was thinking he was going to be somebody, but it was pretty good with how they killed him. But the thing that I didn't like about the Shadow Clones when they got all introduced, that they were essentially Knights of Ren. Like they've got this really cool power set, but they all kind of just get killed very easily and unceremoniously. So that's my only gripe with the Shadow Clones. I didn't like how all season these shadow clones were getting built up, built up, built up, built up, and we see them in the last episode, and none of them they really amount to nothing. When the mistake that I think Hemlock made here was healing the Bad Batch, because we see earlier in the episode, like I said, the Bad Batch is kind of getting their butts kicked because they're tired, they're hurt, they're not really ready for this fight, and Hemlock essentially heals them, and then his special force of evil clones gets taken care of pretty easily. So Wrecker and Echo take out the rest of the Shadow clones, as we see as we cut to Hunter and uh, Crosshair going after Hemlock and Scorch. They take out Scorch again, unceremoniously. He just kind of gets killed, and then we get uh, a pretty the last scene that we get on Tantus is one that I really enjoyed, because it's kind of all been leading up to this moment all season. Crosshair is doubting himself. Um, Hunter says, take the shot, trust Omega. She'll know what to do." And Crosshair says, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to make this shot. Not with my non-dominant hand. I'm not going to be able to do this. And Hunter tells Crosshair, trust Omega. And when she makes the move, take the shot. So she stabs Hemlock in the leg, which gives Crosshair like a split second to shoot the cuffs off. They they shoot the cuffs off, and just just douse Hemlock. Man is gone. Man, I mean, he takes. I think he took like 4 or 5 laser bolts to the chest, something like that, and they get off they get off Tantus. Literally, they jump into hyperspace. The Empire comes in, and which I find very coincidental. Because if the Empire would have showed up and they were still there, I think things would have got really hairy really quickly. But nevertheless, they show up. Tarkin essentially says, "Kill the facility and move the funds to Project Stardust, which is the Death Star." So that's how the Death Star gets its money. And the last little bit, we cut to Pabo as Emery is talking to Echo, saying that the kids, the test subjects, have really gotten used to Pabo really quickly, and that she wants to do whatever she can to make up for what she did. As Echo goes off world and takes her to Rex. So I think we might get an actual Clone Rebellion spinoff spinoff show, to kind of, because that still needs to be explained, why Rex, Cody, and Gregor are the 3 last clones that we see alive, and why they're on that planet. So that still has to be explained. Um, and then we see one last shot of the Bad Batch together, as Hunter tells Omega that all the fighting's done. Uh, they can be whatever they want now, as it fades to black. And then it comes back up, and we see an older Omega, which I thought was pretty cool. Seeing an older version of Omega was pretty awesome. And seeing Old Man Hunter was pretty damn cool. Um, This takes place somewhere during the original trilogy, maybe before A New Hope, uh, maybe after the Death Star. I mean, there's not really a timestamp, and uh, Omega's going to join the rebellion as Hunter says that right before she leaves, that essentially, if you need us, we'll be there. And then she she leaves Pablo and she joins the rebellion. And just like that, the series ends. My thoughts on the episode. That's not what I was expecting. This whole season. And I know I'm not the only one that thought this. I know all the other creators that I follow thought the same thing, that something big was going to happen. We were going to get Vader, um, the um, Tantus was going to get completely leveled. We were going to have this giant clone rebellion, and it was going to get squashed by Vader and the 501st, and none of that happened. The Bad Batch get their happy ending, which I was talking to Grayson from Mortis FM the other day, and I told him that I was a little bummed that that this that 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 this was the ending, that everyone came out alive. I was expecting at least one of them to die, and he basically told me that given everything that the batch has gone through, that a happy ending makes a lot of sense for them. They get to live their lives, and I've I've thought about it over the course of a day, and I agree with him. Bad Batch has been through a lot over these last 3 seasons, and they deserved that happy ending. Overall, um, I'm gonna say a hot take here. I think I think the Bad Batch is now my favorite Star Wars animated TV show. I think it takes the number one spot. Um, just I mean, I never thought that I was gonna love these characters like I do. Um, but I'll jump into that when I do a retrospective, and it's gonna be pretty soon. So just keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, and they do lay seeds for potential spinoffs. Um, we've got a spinoff with Echo and Emery. They're probably going to go join Rex, which again, that story needs to still be told. We still need to see what happens to them, to Rex, Gregor, and Wolf, and where's Echo at during Rebels? Where's he? Um, so we still need to see that. But overall, like I said, great episode, great ending of the series, and really interested to see what happens now. So, yeah. Until next time, guys. And the force be with you.